Okay, so the project's set up for people that are basically isolated within care homes, the ones that can't go in and perhaps join in with the activities with other members of the groups or of the residents. And the way that it works is the care homes nominate people they feel are isolated and may benefit from having one-to-one contact with someone else. We're based around the arts, so it can be craft-based, music-based, talking about old memories, photographs, things like that. And me and Greg were matched to a gentleman called Peter, who used to be a music teacher. The link with it was that I'm a singer and a performer and a music practitioner with independent arts, and Greg's got a musical background as well.
Yes, this is my first sort of client, so it was really weird for me because I'd never really done this sort of line of work before, so it was sort of nervous at first walking in to sort of see someone that's bedbound, but then after a few weeks of getting to know this person, it sort of got a lot easier.
At first it took the member of staff from the care home a while to sort of get him to come round, explain who we were, so it was hard to build an initial relationship with him because he wasn't particularly responsive at first, and that's something that became quite relevant over the next few weeks because he could be in a different state of responsiveness each time we went, although that definitely improved because he came to know our voices and know Greg.
I think, well, we started by just listening to music because we didn't really know what he wanted to do, and I think once we started to sort of build conversation with him and we managed to listen to him and sort of hear about a bit about his musical background where he talked about how he was a music teacher, we sort of suggested maybe to bring in a piano, sort of a MIDI little small piano linked up to the computer, just so he can sort of tinker away and sort of try and reminisce on what he used to play, basically. Yeah,
we knew that he'd been a musician, but no one in the care home could tell us how long it had been since he'd actually played anything. We were guessing quite some time because he was in the care home in the sort of position he was in.
From this moment you sort of put it in front of him, he sort of started to sort of, he only used one hand at first, but started to sort of get into the same sort of position, sort of how he used to play. So he started to sort of play around with the notes, but with the small piano it sort of frustrated him a little bit because he's probably used to playing like big upright pianos. This was a tiny little keyboard, so to have sort of, it's quite nice to sort of see him getting frustrated that he wanted to, you could see that he wanted to sort of
do a run on it.
Do a run and sort of continue with it, sort of thing. So that's why we, through Independent Arts, they brought a larger piano, so which really benefited him, I think.
Yeah, I don't think we didn't really necessarily expect that he was going to do much on it at first, to the point where we did have to place his hand on the piano and push his fingers so that he knew it was there, didn't we?
Yeah.
And once he realised it was him that was actually controlling the noise, he did start playing was Do a Dear from The Sound of Music, which became a weekly concert of The Sound of Music as played by Peter. Just that one particular song, wasn't it, I think? But he was definitely...
It always seemed to sort of
come back to that.
And I think through the weeks it sort of, at first he was trying to remember it, so through the weeks eventually he managed to finish the song and could carried on playing it. It was nice to hear.
For me, I couldn't quite believe that we'd actually got this gentleman that hadn't really spoken to us to sit up and play something on the piano and then have a response from him and say, do you like that? Do you want us to bring it again? And him go, yes please. And just his face lit up with it. When we then managed the first time to get him to play something, Greg stayed in there with him, talking to him and helping him find his way on the keyboard, and I went and got a couple of members of staff who pretty much welled up, and one of them burst into tears because this was a gentleman that they'd never really seen do anything at all, sat playing the piano. And I just think it was just a remarkable response from everyone, really.
and you could tell from
Yeah.
the weeks he knew what he was doing. And I think back in his day, I think he would have been really talented.
Really talented. You could tell he was really a
Yeah.
good musician, even though he didn't get too far with it because of obviously his age and his dementia and things like that. The fact that he was playing the way he was, you could really see that he was a good musician, and it was clearly a massive part of his life that had been lacking for quite some time until Independent Arts went in and Greg went in and spent the time with him and really improved his quality of life.